The Reserve Bank of India is holding its ground on inflation, keeping the policy rates unchanged for the ninth consecutive time. Why? Because food inflation is proving to be a stubborn adversary. Despite these challenges, the RBI maintains its inflation forecast for the current fiscal year at 4.5%. Governor Shaktikanta emphasized the need for vigilance to prevent the persistent food inflation from spilling over and undoing the hard-earned credibility of the monetary policy. So what's the outlook? For the second, third and fourth quarters of FY25, the RBI projects inflation at 4.4%, 4.7% and 4.3% respectively. This is a slight uptick from the June policy forecast of 3.8%, 4.6% and 4.5%. In the first quarter of FY25, inflation stood at 4.9%. Looking ahead, the RBI has pegged inflation forecast for the first quarter of the next fiscal year at 4.4%. Thus made it clear, while the Monetary Policy Committee might overlook temporary spikes in food inflation, persistent inflation is another matter entirely. The focus remains on inflation and price stability to ensure growth. Although inflation is moderating, it is moderating at a slow pace. Unlike developed nations, India's monetary policy decisions are based on domestic factors like recent rains and local conditions. India's growth is robust and core inflation has dipped to historic lows. But there's a caveat. The disinflation in fuel prices could reverse in the coming quarters as the base effect wears off. High food prices momentum in July has slowed the disinflation process in the first quarter of FY25. But given food inflation's significant role in overall inflation, the MPC must tread carefully. Experts point out that persistent food inflation can keep overall inflation from declining significantly. According to CRISIL, the rising cost of essential vegetables like onion, tomatoes and potatoes have pushed the prices of vegetarian thali up by 11% in July. Weather variations are a wild card, impacting both inflation and economic stability. So here's why the RBI can't ignore food inflation. First, food inflation is no longer temporary. It's sticking around. Second, people feel inflation the most through food prices. Third, high food inflation skews what households expect in terms of the overall cost. Fourth, unchecked food inflation can spill over into wages and living costs, affecting services if demand stays steady. And finally, if food inflation is ignored, overall inflation can become entrenched, making it harder to control. That's why the RBI is keeping a close eye on food prices, ensuring they don't destabilize the economy. In essence, food inflation isn't just about higher grocery bills. It's about maintaining the delicate balance of the entire economy. And that's why the RBI is staying vigilant, ensuring that inflation remains in check for the broader health of the economy.